Hi everyone, Nathan here. Today I thought we would take a look at a new product from NARS, the NARS All Day Luminous Weightless Foundation. This is a pretty new concept for them. Formerly, prior to this formula, they've really specialized in more sheer coverage foundations and tinted moisturizers. So this being a medium to full coverage product, it definitely is a new take on this kind of daily staple for a lot of people. First thing is the price. It is $48. You get 1 ounce of product. It is a super fluid formula. Practically, as the name implies, weightless. You certainly won't get that unpleasant masky effect or feel on skin. It's definitely not going to be something that's going to feel like you're wearing an inch of makeup, which you might feel like you are because the coverage it provides is practically full coverage almost immediately. Now, on the texture, the fluid texture of it, a very smart thing that NARS has done, which they haven't done yet for a lot of their other formulas, is they included an actual pump on this formula here, which is essential because the lightweight nature of this product means if it were just in a screw top, it would pour out very easily and you'd have a lot of mess on your hands, which would make you very unhappy. So with this pump, it actually allows you to measure out the amount of product fairly effortlessly, which is, as I mentioned, a very strong benefit to this formula. Now, who is it for? Those who have, well, pretty much skin are really going to love this product. Most skin types actually will find this an excellent fit. In terms of the skin tone range, NARS is pretty much famous for their offerings that suit those who have super fair skin all the way to very deep, and that is certainly no exception here. There are 20 shades available, all the way from those who have very, very fair skin, all the way to those who have very, very deep skin tones. So most people will be able to find a shade match here without really having too much difficulty. Also, as I mentioned at the beginning, there is a good amount of coverage to this. So you can certainly expect this to cover most forms of discoloration. Certainly redness, whether it's inflammation from rosacea, little red spots from past breakouts, you will get that coverage, and again, it's going to look very natural. Some things to look out for, though, or really rather consider when making the decision on whether or not you want to make this purchase. The first is that you should absolutely use a foundation brush. With this particular formula, it is very fluid, and of course, with the amount of coverage you get, using your fingers or a sponge, you can easily apply way too much very quickly. And actually, NARS recommends using a drop, which is a little bit tricky because with a pump, you really can't measure out a drop as easily. After a use or two, though, you'll get the hang of it. So you can just apply a drop to the back of your hand and then take a foundation brush, which I highly recommend, and it makes blending a lot easier. A sponge, for those who are very skilled with a sponge, like a beauty blender, for example, they certainly can work that and get a great finish. But if you're sort of a novice to the sponge or you never quite got the hang of it, it is something to consider because you can certainly apply, as I mentioned, a little too much in certain areas and a little too little in other areas. With fingers, of course, you can apply way too much very quickly. With a foundation brush, you're going to get all the blending you need in a pretty short amount of time, so it's going to cut down on a lot of the frustration for you. Now, in terms of the shades, going back to that, a lot of shades there that you can consider. However, there are some to look out for. The first is Siberia, which is the lightest of all of them. It does have a little bit of a stronger pink undertone than most would probably like to see, but if you do have super fair skin, it is definitely worth experimenting with to see if it matches your skin tone. Also, the deeper range. New Orleans and Benares are both, they do have a fairly strong yellow or warm undertone to them. Might suit some, and others it might be a little bit too warm for their needs. I highly recommend trying this in the store. Don't just order offline. One of the reasons is that, of course, as NARS is prone to, they named all of the foundation shades as they do their other formulas. So if you're a Siberia in another shade, or a Punjab, or a Barcelona, you might think, oh, well, that's going to be my shade in this particular formula. Not the case. In fact, actually, a lot of the shades do not cross over. Because of the greater amount of pigment in this particular foundation, you'll find that even a subtle mismatch that really wasn't noticeable in the other sheer formulas from NARS is very obvious here. So again, strongly recommend you try this in store to find the right match for your particular needs. Last on the potential con list is the skin type consideration. I mentioned most skin types are really going to love this, particularly those who have oily skin, because it does have a somewhat matte finish. But if you have dry to very dry skin, you're most likely going to find that this is too mattifying for your particular needs. It can be a little uncomfortable. If you moisturize heavily beforehand, possibly this could be an option. Something to experiment with, really, only you can kind of make that decision, but definitely something to consider. Well, this did earn, as you might have guessed, a best from us, primarily because it is fragrance-free and it offers a stunning range of shades. A little of this goes a very long way. So even though it is on the pricey side, with using essentially what is, half a pump for a full face full of foundation, this is going to last you quite a while. And for the weight, or rather weightlessness, and the amount of coverage you get, it is certainly, for the first full coverage formula from NARS, it certainly is a home run. I hope that review was helpful. I hope it helped answer some of the questions you might have about this. If you've tried this foundation, let us know in the comment section what you thought, whether you agree or disagree with our review, and of course, any other questions you might have. Thanks for watching.